Samantha and Emily were two sisters who grew up in a charming house in Provence, France. From a young age, they shared a special bond, as if their hearts had been intertwined from the moment they were born. Provence was a picturesque town, with its cobbled streets, stone houses, and lavender fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. It was a place where time seemed to slow down, allowing the sisters to absorb every moment of their childhood. As they grew older, their paths in life began to diverge. Samantha married first to her high school sweetheart, Thomas, and Emily soon did the same. However, their experiences of starting a family couldn't have been more different. Despite Samantha's tireless efforts to fulfill her dream of becoming a mother, she continued to face the painful reality of infertility. Each visit to the doctor was permeated with the fragile hope that this time it would be different, only to be met with further disappointment. With each passing month, the weight of frustration became harder to bear. Meanwhile, Emily immersed herself in her career and travel plans with her husband, without giving much thought to the idea of having children. However, fate had other plans for her. An unexpected pregnancy test changed everything, filling her with a mixture of surprise and uncertainty. As someone who had never given much thought to motherhood, she was faced with the prospect of becoming a mother. Emily, overjoyed at the news of her pregnancy, shared her surprise with Samantha, barely able to contain her excitement. Samantha, although struggling to mask the pain she felt, forced a smile and congratulated her sister, sincerely, knowing that Emily's happiness was more important than her own sadness. The news of Emily's pregnancy brought out a roller coaster of conflicting emotions for Samantha. While she genuinely rejoiced at her sister's happiness, she couldn't help but wonder why fate seemed so cruel to herself. She found herself struggling to reconcile her joy for Emily with her own silent pain. As the months passed and Emily's belly grew, her attitudes became increasingly unpleasant for Samantha. Emily, wrapped up in the excitement of her own journey to motherhood, began to exhibit insensitive and arrogant behavior. She bragged about her pregnancy and made sarcastic comments about Samantha's struggle to conceive, without realizing how much her words hurt her older sister. For Samantha, Emily's every sharp word was like a stab in the heart, reviving her own pain and bringing up feelings of envy and resentment. She struggled to keep her composure in the face of Emily's provocations, but inside, she was falling apart. Despite Samantha's efforts to ignore her sister's hurtful words and remain sympathetic, the emotional wounds caused by Emily's comments continued to cut deep. She struggled to find the genuine joy she once felt when sharing special moments with her sister. As time passed, the tension between the two sisters grew. Samantha struggled to mask her true feelings, fearing that expressing her pain would only push Emily further away. She found herself caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, wanting to support her sister while fighting the insecurity and sadness that consumed her inside. The final straw came when Emily organized a baby shower and deliberately left Samantha off the guest list. Samantha was devastated, feeling as if she had been left out and forgotten by her own sister. The final blow was hard to bear, and the pain of rejection cut deeper than any of the harsh words Emily had spoken before. Samantha found herself sinking into a sea of sadness and loneliness, wondering what she had done to deserve such treatment from someone she considered her best friend and confidant. She felt completely isolated, unable to share her pain with her own family. As the days go by, Samantha learns that Emily is very ill with a high fever, and her husband, Pedro, decides to take her to the hospital to find out what has happened to his wife. In a race against time, the doctors worked frantically to save Emily and their unborn child. But despite their best efforts, tragedy struck. Emily's baby did not survive, leaving her devastated and distraught after her loss. Emily was plunged into deep grief following the loss of her baby. Every moment was a battle against the sadness and emptiness that now consumed her life. She found herself shrouded in a fog of despair, unable to find solace or peace of mind. The pain of loss was like a stab in the heart, constantly reminding her of what could have been, but now would never be. She felt as if a part of her had been torn away, leaving an unbearable void in her chest. Bitterness settled into her soul, transforming her view of the world around her. She withdrew from her friends and family, unable to bear the fake sympathy and pitying looks she received. Every word of comfort was like salt in her open wounds, intensifying her pain and isolation. Emily found herself lost in an ocean of sadness, struggling to find a way to move on without her baby. She wondered if she would ever be able to smile again, or if the pain of loss would consume her forever. Samantha, deeply concerned about Emily's emotional state, decided to visit her in hospital, hoping to offer her sister comfort and support at such a difficult time. However, when she entered Emily's room, she was greeted by an aura of bitterness and resentment. Emily, her eyes swollen from crying, looked at Samantha with a hard, cold expression. Before Samantha could say a word, Emily began to pour out her pain in the form of sharp words. "What are you doing here?" Emily asked, her voice trembling with restrained anger. "I don't want you here. Get out." Emily's words hit Samantha like a punch in the gut. She was stunned by the ferocity of her sister's contempt. Even so, she tried to remain calm, knowing that Emily's pain was distorting her emotions. "Emily, I just want to be here for you," Samantha tried to explain, her voice laced with sadness. "I know you're going through a terrible time, but I'm here to support you, no matter what." Mas Emily now queria over sua angustia at sagava para o amor e a preocupação de sua irmã. Como gesto brusco, ela apontou para a porta, insistindo para que Samantha saísse. Samantha began to notice subtle changes in her body, small signs that she initially tried to ignore, attributing them to the stress and anxiety that had been accompanying her recently. However, when the symptoms persisted, she decided to take a pregnancy test, more out of conscience than real expectations. When the test showed two distinct lines, Samantha was shocked. She looked at the small device in her trembling hands, unable to believe her eyes. It was as if the whole world had stopped while she processed the news. A mixture of contradictory emotions flooded her: joy, disbelief, fear, and hope, all mixing together in her heart. Samantha found herself paralyzed, unable to fully process the miracle that was happening inside her. She stayed at the pregnancy test as if it were a strange artifact from another world, wondering if it could be real. She spent hours staring at the tiny sign of life that was about to change everything. But little by little, reality began to set in. Samantha was pregnant, a miracle she had never thought possible. It was as if the dream she had had, holding that baby in her arms, was coming true before her eyes. After 9 months of a journey full of emotions and challenges, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. In a delivery room filled with love and support, Samantha gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The child's soft cries filled the room, bringing a sense of relief and joy to everyone present. Samantha held her daughter in her arms, gazing in wonder at the little miracle she had just brought into the world. The little girl was perfect in every way, with her tiny hands and feet, and her sparkling eyes that seemed to capture the sunlight. With her heart overflowing with love and gratitude, Samantha decided to name her daughter Clara. It was a name that evoked purity and luminosity, perfect for the little girl who had brought so much light into her life. As she held Clara in her arms, Samantha felt a wave of emotion and happiness wash over her. She knew that her journey as a mother was just beginning, and she was ready to face all the challenges and joys that lay ahead. After giving birth to Clara, Samantha was enveloped in a bubble of happiness and wonder, immersed in the sweetness of the moment as she held her newborn daughter in her arms. However, this joy was interrupted by an unexpected visit. Emily, who until then had stayed away from Samantha, felt an inexplicable urge to visit her sister in hospital. When she entered the room and saw Samantha holding little Clara in her arms, her emotions overflowed. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she saw the scene before her. She couldn't believe her eyes. Her sister, who had faced so many challenges to conceive, was now holding a child in her arms. Clara's presence was like a bright light in the darkness that enveloped Emily's heart. Memories of the loss of her own baby surfaced, flooding Emily with a wave of sadness and regret. She remembered the dream she had shared with Samantha of the baby she never got to meet. The pain of the loss was almost unbearable. Emily approached Samantha and Clara, her hands trembling as she gently touched the newborn's soft cheek. She cried silently, letting the tears roll freely down her face as she struggled to process her own emotions. For Samantha, Emily's presence was a welcome surprise, despite the difficult circumstances. She understood the deep meaning of her sister's visit and wrapped Emily in a warm embrace, sharing her joy and her pain. Samantha decided to forgive Emily for her past transgressions. She understood that pain and loss had a way of changing a person and saw the pain and regret in her sister's eyes. Together, they mourned the loss of Emily's baby and worked to rebuild their fractured relationship, finding solace and healing in each other's presence. In the end, Emily learned a valuable lesson about the power of empathy and compassion. She realized that kindness and understanding were far more valuable than cruelty and mockery, and vowed never again to let her mean spirit overshadow the love and support of her family. Through their loss, she found a new appreciation for the bonds that held them together and a new respect for the struggles and pain of others. And although the scars of her past actions would remain forever, she emerged from the darkness as a changed woman, determined to make amends and live a life full of love and understanding. Life's journey is full of challenges and adversity, but also moments of unexpected miracles and love. Even in the darkest moments, it's important to remember that family, support, and inner strength can help us overcome any obstacle. Acceptance, understanding, and forgiveness are essential for healing wounds and strengthening family ties, allowing us to find light even in the most difficult situations.